Okay, welcome everybody to this General Committee meeting on November 26th. It's exactly 9 a.m. and I'd like to call this meeting to order. And I have Councillor Cloutier. Would you mind reading the land acknowledgement,
Oh,
please?
sure. Thank you. I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg under the terms of the Robinson Huron Treaty number 61 of 1850 and the Williams Treaty of 1923. We commit to acknowledge, learn, educate, create opportunity, honor sacred places, and take actions towards real truth, reconciliation, and support of our commitment to the walking path together in respect, peace, harmony for future generations.
Thank you very much for that. With that, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to deputations, and indeed we do have 3 today. Starting with Julie Cochran regarding the Kawasaki Disease Canada awareness campaign. And Julie, is Julie joining us remotely?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, good. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to propose a meaningful initiative that could make a life-changing difference in our community. Lighting the clock tower in red to raise awareness for Kawasaki disease. Kawasaki disease is a rare but serious illness that affects children, causing inflammation of blood vessels throughout their body. If left untreated, it can lead to lasting heart damage, sometimes even resulting in death. The key to preventing these terrible outcomes is early diagnosis and prompt treatment, which can often save a child's heart and ensure a full recovery. I want to share a personal story to illustrate the importance of awareness. My daughter was diagnosed with Kawasaki disease at the Huntsville Hospital with support from the Sick Kids Hospital. The quick response and immediate treatment her team provided made all the difference. Her experience has strengthened my resolve to help educate others about this condition. The not-for-profit organization, Kawasaki Disease Canada, is working tirelessly to unite communities across the country. They're advocating for January 26th to be recognized as a national day dedicated to Kawasaki disease awareness, helping to inform families and healthcare providers about its signs and urgency. Lighting up our clock towers in red would serve a powerful visual reminder of Kawasaki disease and the importance of early intervention. It can encourage early recognition, prompt medical attention, and ultimately save children's hearts. So together, I think we can show support, raise awareness, and hopefully save some lives. I invite you to join us in this initiative and light up in red on January 26th and stand with families affected by Kawasaki disease. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Julie, and thank you for actually coming to council today to make your deputation. We very much appreciate it. And with that, I will ask council if there are any questions. Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, and thank you, Julie, so much for coming and sharing your story. I guess my question is, how is your daughter?
She suffered some inflammation and some damage to her left coronary arteries. But over time and some treatments, she's almost clear. We have one more echocardiogram next year, and hopefully it'll come back clear and she'll be free from the disease.
That's great. Are there any other? Deputy Mayor Armour.
Good morning, and thank you very much. I'm curious, is there prevention for the Kawasaki disease that you could recommend to those who may be listening, or a way to diagnose it?
It's an unknown disease. Apparently it's caused by a virus, maybe. They still don't know. It's still just an unknown disease. They just look for symptoms, which is, say, red eyes and bleeding lips and red hands and feet and swollen lymph nodes. Wow. And just a general unwell feeling and lethargy.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, it's really important that you came forward today and to raise awareness. So our routine, Julie, is that we later in the meeting we have a report to respond to your request, and I'm sure it will be favorable. But you don't have to stick around. It's near the end of the meeting. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.
Did you have a question? Oh no. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay.
Take care.
Okay, with that, we are moving to our second deputation with Aleem Kanji from the Canadian National Fireworks Association. And Aleem is also coming in virtually. Just joining us. Welcome.
Good morning, members of council and staff. I just want to make sure before I begin, folks can see me and hear me.
Yes, we can, and we can hear you too.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Aleem.
Well, I apologize for not being with you in person this morning, but I am with you virtually and wanted to share a few thoughts, maybe just by way of intro. I can tell you a little bit about who I am, who I represent, and quite frankly, the great work that staff have been doing through our work together and their work independently on revising your bylaw. So just by way of introduction, my name is Aleem Kanji. I am the Chief Advocacy Officer for the Canadian National Fireworks Association. And yes, there is an association on fireworks. We are a national organization, and we are the national voice for the industry, but we also represent, those that use fireworks both at the consumer level, but also the display level. We work with all levels of government on what is a very regulated and legal industry. You may be aware that over 4,000 fireworks are tested by our friends in Ottawa at NRC, and they are highly, highly regulated products. And there are obviously many folks in your community that have views on fireworks, including those that want to see the continued use to celebrate longstanding traditions that we have enjoyed and have seen in our communities for many decades. Now, with that use does come responsibility, just like anything else, and nothing undermines what we do more than safety, as it should guide any decisions, quite frankly, that any communities are looking at around any issues. And so, with responsibility, with safe use, pardon me, comes responsibility. Um, there are obviously vendors and businesses in the whole supply chain, which by and large is a made in Canada approach to how the industry works, with folks being able to buy, supply, transport, and use goods that are really a made in Canada solution. And that contributes obviously to the local economy by virtue of direct, indirect economic impacts, the property taxes, and I would submit as well reflect the community of Huntsville's real aspirations, especially in these economic times, to shop local and to buy local. And by doing that at the point of sale in the local community, we have the opportunity through vendors and retailers to educate people on the point of sale and remind them of the rules, including the rules that will be debated and coming forward today around some of the changes. I wanted to get into some of that and talk about what is in front of you in terms of the staff report. There are, of course, according to the survey that Huntsville put out, 73% of residents that suggest things should stay the same, and fireworks should be used on statutory holidays, and that is consumer fireworks. One of the things that's missing from the report for your consideration, particularly as Huntsville grows and we see changes in the community. We've seen this in other communities across the country, including those in so far as your neighbors are concerned, is the inclusion of fireworks being used on occasions like the Lunar New Year and Diwali, which have intrinsic traditions of using fireworks for many centuries. And so that is something that has been missed. But I will say this, and I think it's really important, that the bylaw really needed, I think, a little bit of an upgrade and a little bit of an update. And we see that through, um, I think the tightening up of rules and for allowing it, on statutory holidays for consumer use, guarded by some times. And that's quite natural because I think, as I was saying to Corey and the team in Huntsville, having it as open season without any parameters could really cause community concern. And I think it's quite natural. And I actually think it's in line with what we see in other communities. From 8 to 11 p.m. And of course 8 to 1 a.m. on New Year's Eve. Now the 8 a.m. start off time is a little interesting because we do see folks, for example, when we look at things like Diwali and Lunar New Year, which are celebrated, after the time change. We saw a daylight savings time change not too long ago, but it gets dark sooner, and so, as we all know, and so the use of fireworks on those occasions, and quite frankly, by your residents at other times, might lend itself to a different window where they are used on those occasions a little bit sooner and end a little bit earlier, respecting neighbors, etc. So, I do think looking at the survey as well, there was a very strong support for display fireworks as well, and that was great to see. I would submit to the town that certainly display fireworks do not replace consumer ones. And what I mean by that is that large events, for example, a Canada Day festival that you may put on as the town, does not replace the individual use, because there are oftentimes people that may not be able to attend large events due to their own mobility issues, coming out of COVID, being in larger crowds. And quite frankly, having smaller celebrations in communities actually brings communities together. And we've seen that in cities across the country through small events where we see neighbors coming together, and doing so within the confines of the law, right? Not doing this at 3 a.m, but doing this to have a Canada Day community celebration, a party or a street festival, and using the products legally and responsibly, but not having to succumb to only a display event. And so individual use is really important. And it's fantastic to see that in this, what is titled by staff, a modernized bylaw. The whole notion of people requesting an event outside the actual dates that are being proposed, I think, is strong. I think the fact that it does have to come back to the appeals committee, might be a bit of extra red tape that Huntsville doesn't need. Perhaps this can be adjudicated elsewhere, but the whole notion of asking outside of the actual dates, I think, is a good one. Part of the challenge that we've seen in other communities is that people don't know the rules, and this gets into what we would be pleased to provide in supporting the town of Huntsville, and that is leaning into the association. And this is what we can do with you to promote the right ways to use fireworks, and we can do that through our Be a Good Neighbor program. You can find that at nationalfireworks.ca, and it reminds people of the rules of using fireworks. For example, cleaning up when you're done, letting your neighbors know making sure that the products are authorized. And we can do that at the point of sale when fireworks are used. The other thing we can do, again, all of this at no cost to your community, is our vendor certification and employee training program. So to let people know the rules right at the point of sale. And, we think it's great that Huntsville is taking the decision not to ban fireworks, because really what that would do is not just punish the retailers and throw the industry out of town, where people can just buy the product elsewhere outside of the municipal jurisdiction boundaries, or buy it online. But it doesn't give us an opportunity really to promote the bylaw and the rules at the point of sale. So
Elaine,
keeping
I
that
hate to
is really
interrupt. I
important.
apologize for interrupting. I just wanted to let you know you have
30
less
seconds.
less than a minute. Oh, I was told you couldn't see the clock, so I just
I've got that. Yeah,
no.
no,
My
I've got that.
apologies for
No
interrupting.
worries, no worries. I'll wrap up in 30 seconds for sure. And I think, again, working with the industry association, something that we can do through our vendor certification employee training program, through our Be a Good Neighbor program, would be a real formidable way to continue to partner together. And so we stand committed to doing that, relieving your bylaw enforcement unit, who obviously has other things to do, but doing that proactive enforcement right at the point of sale. So we look forward to partnering together. And quite frankly, I take my hat off to staff for putting together a really thoughtful and inclusive report. I think is reflective of your community. And I'd be happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Very much appreciated that with your appearance here today. Are there any questions from council? Mr. Kanji. Okay, you obviously you've worked with our staff on the updated bylaw, so you know that we're dealing with it later in the meeting, and I very much appreciate your presentation.
I'll
Thank
stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we are moving to our third deputation, third and final, and that is with Dave McDonald and Bruce Archer of Northern Shores Association to talk about the proposed ORA closure at 897 Etwell Road. So, and they also are joining us virtually.
Hi, good morning. Can
Good
you guys hear
morning.
me okay?
Yes, welcome.
Okay, great. So my name is Dave McDonald. I'm the secretary to the board of the Northern Shores Association, and with me today is fellow board member Bruce Archer. Bruce is our treasurer. So thank you very much for your time to come and talk to you today. So I put this presentation together prior to seeing Marie's report that she's given you. So I'm actually going to take a bit of a different approach in talking to you this morning. And rather than focus on my presentation, I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase of why we're here and maybe give you some time back for your meeting. So Northern Shores is a community that started in 1958. We have about 450 acres on the shores of Lake Vernon and about 100 members. And in the 60s and 70s, the members that were laying out the site at that time used a topographic map to help create the roads and position the different sites that people could lease back for their time there. And thus the problem. They used a topographical map which doesn't show unopened road allowances. So there was a family that was given one of these sites. They built a cottage there and have enjoyed being there. And in 2023, they went to try and get a garage permit to build this garage on the site, only to discover now that their cottage and part of their septic system are right in the middle of this road allowance. So we're here today, and Marie is going to do a much better job of explaining the details of the site to you and what's involved. Just to say that we're looking for your help in getting to a resolution to be able to purchase this road allowance. This will save our member from a lot of grief and frustration, and will just help us in bringing this issue hopefully to a close. I think that was all I really wanted to say. I have some pictures and maps and different things about the site, but I think Marie is going to do a better job of speaking to that. So, do you have any questions for either Bruce or I about this?
Thank you very much, Dave, for the presentation, also for giving us our time back. That's highly unusual and much appreciated. I will ask council if they have any questions, but you're quite right. There's a thorough report that we will be dealing with later in the meeting, so presented by Marie. So, council, any questions at this point? I don't see any. So, as I said, we are dealing with the report later on in the meeting, probably about an hour from now, something like that. But thank you for coming and presenting.
Yeah, no, thank you. And we appreciate your time and carry on, and we'll see what the result is later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. We're now at invited and ceremonial presentations, and indeed, we do have one, and that's Caitlin Potts from the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, MPAC, and welcome. We haven't had an update from MPAC in a little while. All right, that's great. Welcome.
Thank you. Perfect. Just press the next one. Perfect. All right. Well, good morning. Thank you so much for having me here today. As mentioned, my name is Caitlin Potts, and I am an account manager with the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation. So I'm here to give you an update on MPAC, who we are, and what we do. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is that better? Perfect. So at MPAC, we are Ontario's property assessment experts, and our job is to assess and classify more than 5 million properties across the province, worth a combined value of more than $3.2 trillion. Every municipality uses MPAC's assessments to make informed decisions about their community, including the distribution of property taxes. Now, there's 4 key players in Ontario's property assessment and taxation system. The first is the provincial government, who's responsible for setting assessment and taxation legislation as well as policies. They also determine the education property tax rate. There's also an independent body that adjudicates appeals of MPAC's assessment, known as the Assessment Review Board. Now at MPAC, we are an independent, not-for-profit corporation funded by all of Ontario municipalities. Our role is to accurately assess and classify all properties in Ontario in accordance with both the Assessment Act and regulations set forth by the Province of Ontario. We are accountable through a board of directors that's appointed by the Minister of Finance. Municipalities such as yourselves determine budget requirements, assist with tax rates, and collect property taxes to pay for municipal services. Municipalities use MPAC's assessments and their established tax rates to distribute tax requirements to ratepayers. And finally, property owners. Property owners pay their tax bill, and they help to set market value through ongoing property purchases and sales. Now, as you can imagine, maintaining Ontario's property assessment database is extremely important. Property data is continuously updated so that municipal records are accurate when our municipal stakeholders are making important tax decisions. Maintaining Ontario's property tax database includes inspecting and assessing new construction, additions, or renovations that occur to properties, responding to property owner inquiries and helping them to better understand their assessment. And we also support municipalities through regular ongoing meetings, as well as a platform known as Municipal Connect, which allows municipal staff to access assessment-related information within their municipality. We also have important statutory duties, such as handling requests for reconsiderations, which is when someone disagrees with their property assessment. And we maintain people data by tracking school support for over 5.7 million properties across the province. Ontario's property tax system is based on everyone paying their portion of what it costs to deliver community services. Now, to do this, all properties are assigned a value at a common valuation date. This is known as the current value assessment, or CVA. It's the price a property might reasonably be expected to sell for if sold from a willing seller to a willing buyer after appropriate time and exposure on an open market. The current legislated valuation date is January 1st, 2016. The Ontario government did pause the 2020 province-wide reassessment for COVID-19, and in addition, the Ontario government is conducting a review of the property assessment and taxation system and has committed to pausing on a province-wide reassessment until that review concludes. So let's talk briefly about valuation. In Ontario, there are 3 industry-wide standardized approaches to valuing a property. The first of these 3 approaches is the direct comparison approach, which is used primarily for residential properties. Now, with this approach, we analyze sales of comparable properties that were sold for a similar or identical use as the property that is to be valued. We also have the income approach, which is typically used for properties such as an office building. And we have the cost approach, which is used for properties such as a mini warehousing and general purpose, more industrial type properties. But no matter what valuation approach we use, the selection of comparable sales transactions serves as the foundation for establishing the property assessments. So when we're looking at valuation of residential homes, although our analysis tool looks at over 200 different factors, these 5 factors on the screen make up approximately 85% of a typical home's value. And these include the age of the property, which does get adjusted for any major renovations that may occur to a structure, location of a property, the quality of construction, exterior square footage, as well as the lot dimensions. So we talked about how we value a property, but what draws MPAC's attention to a property? And it's typically one of the following things: a market sale, a request from a municipality or property owner to review a property, building permit activity, or a request for reconsideration or an appeal are all different triggers that would draw MPAC's attention to a property. And when it comes to building permits and plans, MPAC's role is to turn those into assessment for a municipality. We're the only organization in all of Ontario that has access to all building permits, and our understanding of this data gives us a unique perspective on ways to modernize its collection and exchange to support our municipal partners. So after we assess a property or change an assessment, a property assessment notice is mailed to each property owner. And sometimes a property owner may not agree with the assessed value, and they may connect with any of you if they have any questions or don't believe that their assessed value is accurate. And if you are to receive an inquiry, you can help us by asking the property owner a few simple questions. The first being, could they have sold their house on January 1st of 2016 for that assessed value? Have they visited MPAC's website called About My Property to learn more about the assessment information that we have on file for their property? Third, have they used that website About My Property as a tool to conduct comparable research on assessed values within their area? And finally, if a property owner still disagrees with their assessed value, they have the option to file a request for reconsideration, which MPAC will review free of charge. Now, the fastest way to submit your request for reconsideration is directly on that About My Property website. So let's spend a moment here just to address the relationship between property taxes and assessment. Assessments distribute taxes, they do not determine the taxes paid. The most important factor is not how much the assessed value of a property has changed, but rather how the assessed value has changed relative to the average change within that class in that community. Now we're going to watch a quick video on this that'll help to explain the relationship between property assessment and taxation.
Property taxes are based on your home's value. What you might not know is that an increase in your home's value doesn't necessarily mean your taxes will go up. To explain, let's take a look at how your property taxes are calculated. Imagine there's a town that only has 3 homes, and they're each worth a different amount. The total cost to provide all of the town's services is $1,200. This is collected through property taxes. Each homeowner pays property taxes based on their home's assessed value. So we take the total cost of services and divide it by the total property value. This tax rate is applied to all the houses to get enough money to pay for the town's services. Each homeowner pays according to the assessed value of their home, and every 4 years, the houses are reassessed. Let's say all 3 properties have gone up equally in value. The total cost of services hasn't changed, but the total property value has increased. When this happens, there will be a decrease in the tax rate. Now, when we apply that new rate on all the homes, everyone still pays the same. Now, let's say another 4 years has gone by and these homes are reassessed. During this time, the house on the right gains more market value than the other two. The total value of all the homes have increased, which means the town has to calculate a new tax rate. With this new tax rate, the first two homes will actually pay less than the home on the right that was reassessed at a higher value. Since the cost of services hasn't changed, the town doesn't need to collect more property taxes on the whole. However, since property taxes are based on a home's value, taxes for each individual home could potentially go up or down based on the rest of the homes. So, what happens when the cost to provide services goes up? Well, it means more property taxes need to be collected from every home and a new tax rate is calculated. To get the new rate, we take that amount that the town now needs and divide it by all of the property values. The new rate is applied to all the homes, and now everyone has to pay the new tax amount to continue to fund the town's services. So, let's review. 1. Property taxes are based on the assessed value of a home. If all assessments go up equally, everyone pays the same. 2. If all assessments do not go up equally, there's a redistribution of the tax. 3. If the town's cost to provide services increases, the municipality may choose to increase the tax rate. When this happens, everyone pays their share of that increase. And that explains the relationship between property value and property taxes.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you. So our focus has always been on building awareness with about property assessment taxation and MPAC's role within the process. We do understand that property assessment can be complex. So we've been communicating with property owners and Ontarians now more than ever to help them understand the property assessment taxation system, learn more about who we are at MPAC and what we do, and to easily find resources and information that may assist them. From social media campaigns to educational videos like the one that we just saw, to our new first-time homebuyers hub, which we have on our website. We are trying to have easy access information that can be shared with residents, as well as to support you as municipalities with any inquiries that you may receive. So I just wanted to thank you all for having me here today. A big part of MPAC's commitment to service is staying connected with our municipalities. So if not already, I'd just like to share some of our information as, oh, I'm sorry, I went too far. As well, if you're looking to get any other information, we do have our About My Property website, which is a great place to start if you're looking for more information. Thank you so much.
Caitlin, thank you very much for coming today. And I appreciate the importance of staying in touch with all of the municipalities. Before I turn it to council, I am going to ask about the elephant in the room, which is the 2016 data that we're still using. And I know you made reference, and you must be really sick of this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, that the province is doing a review, and they've been doing a review for years. So I'm just, you probably have more of an insight than we do as to when that review might be finished and when we can expect to hear something about that.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. I don't have any additional information today. The province has announced that they are conducting the review and will postpone until that announcement's made. Once we do have that date, I promise I will come back with more information and share any of the insights that we are seeing with that new valuation date.
Okay, thank you for that. I really feel for you, I have to say. You, as I said, you must be really sick of having to say that. But it is frustrating for all municipalities, and I know it's not MPAC. Anyway. Council, yes, Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Mayor Alcock, and through you. Caitlin, thanks so much for coming. I must say my past life as a realtor, my experience with MPAC was always amazing. Like, you guys are not the ones that Mayor Alcock is talking about. As she mentioned, it's the province. I did a lot of requests for reconsiderations on behalf of my clients. They were always dealt with promptly and with tons of professionalism. So you guys as an organization are great. However, the provincial stuff that's going on is driving me crazy. And their message that we slowed down the reassessments because of COVID, well, that's 5 years ago. And if you can't get your crap together in 5 years, what the heck is going on? So I wonder, and that's aimed at them, not you, for the record. I've had this chat with a few people, and even in my real estate days, has there been any discussions between MPAC and the province about the idea of a gradual, because I know we had a phased-in assessment back in the day, of gradually increasing taxes. We know that everybody's houses have gone up, sometimes double in the last 9 years or more, but a gradual increase of say 10% per year for a few years while they wait for this assessment. Because what I'm worried about is every municipality in Ontario is going to deal with this when eventually we get to 2025 numbers. I'm sure it'll be phased in, but people are going to get tax increases or assessment increases of a $400,000 house being worth $800,000 or $900,000, and they're going to assume that their taxes are double or tripling. So I'm wondering if we could, has there been any discussion about doing a 10 or 15% increase, knowing that everybody's houses have gone up at least that much, and it will not affect their taxes at all if it's done across the board?
Thank you, through your worship. I don't have any additional information now on the consultations that have been occurring. I know that we are meeting with the ministry throughout the consultations, and they're also meeting with other organizations as well. I can definitely bring that information back on my end, though, to share that. And I'm assuming through some of the associations as well. Thank you so much.
And at every AMO and Roma conference, this question is raised during the Bear Pit session with all of the ministers. And so it's just almost like routine now. So anyway, I understand your frustration and everybody's frustration. Other questions, Deputy Mayor Armour.
Sure, thank you, Worship. I believe I didn't have one, but I'll make up one. No, it's good.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm thinking, I'm curious now. So on your video, I've seen it before, and I like how you show the 3 houses and how it increases. I wish you'd show how it increases when there's more houses being built. When the cost of the town of services doesn't change, yet there's more homes, and how it affects the tax rate. Because we always hear from people that, you know, you're growing, you're building all these homes, you're getting more money coming in. But in reality, we really aren't when you think about how the tax rate works and the services aren't changing. So if you could just speak to that.
Thank you so much to your worship. That's great feedback. I can definitely take back. We're always looking to see different ways we can enhance some of these educational videos. So your feedback is much appreciated. I think we're looking at, as you stated, the assessment update has not occurred yet. So any additional resources or information you think would be valuable, we definitely appreciate it. So we can make any future enhancements to any of our educational training videos. Thank you so much.
Okay, follow-up.
That, just a question though. So I just thought of it. So you say you have access to all the building permits. So someone builds a new home and you send someone out to look at it. Do you contact the person you're going out to look at it? Or I've heard the story that you just go and look in the windows and say, oh, this is what it is. So I'm just curious.
Through your worship. That is a great question. So actually during COVID, we started sending letters out to property owners. So there's 2 different letters that a property owner may receive. One will advise them that we will be out to their property within the next few weeks to come and assess their property. The other letter that they may receive is a letter requesting that they call us so we can get some information on their property. So that would depend on the type of permit that comes out. We've actually had a lot of property owners call in and actually scheduled appointments with us as well. So that's been really great as well. So if someone wants us to come to a property a certain time when they're home, definitely feel free to call us. All the information is on that form and we can definitely schedule that. Thank you.
Great. Well, for not having a question, that was pretty good. Councillor Schumacher.
So as you talked about renovations to a home too, does that also impact as well? Do you get those building permits or those permits that somebody's renovating and then you come and reassess?
Thank you, through your worship. We do. We get all building permits that are issued within the municipality. So anytime there's a renovation or addition, a contact us letter would go out to the property owner and we would assess and renovate that home. The age of the building, as I mentioned, especially with the residential home, would just be accounted for as the update to the property. Thank you so much.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thanks, Your Worship, and thanks for coming, and thanks for your presentation. Appreciate it, Caitlin. My question is there a backlog of reassessments due to permits and new buildings? So how far behind are we on getting that accomplished?
Thank you, through your worship. That's a great question. We actually were able to assess for a new assessment for 2025, 95% of that was assessed within 1 year of occupancy this year. So we're getting lots of great information. We work very closely with your building department to get all this information in, especially the building plans, and it's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to thank you for the report. And I do feel that you're getting bombarded by questions that perhaps that you're not able to answer, which is really unfortunate because I think the frustration around it is pretty high. The fact that other provinces have gone ahead and done their assessments since COVID. Maybe we should, as a government, look, not us, but our provincial government, look and see what other provinces have done. Because it just seems that the imbalance that we have right now with homes that are on waterfront that are valued at a lower value, you know, it's not spread evenly now with houses that maybe have not gone up as much as a waterfront home. So I think that that imbalance is very frustrating, and we feel it as a council when we make our budgets and do things. So perhaps we could look to other provinces to see what they're doing. But again, you don't have an answer for that, Caitlin, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but more of a comment.
Thank you for that comment as well. Look at the enthusiasm. This is great. Who knew? But thank you. I don't see any other questions, and thanks again for coming. Much appreciated. Yeah. Yeah. All right. With that, I am turning it over to Councillor Schumacher to take over as chair.
And I see Greg in the audience there, so he's going to make his way down for presentation 6.1, community services. I've got to get close enough to the mic here. So yes, I have 6.1.1. Greg Pelling is here to speak to Live Barn, the video streaming services. So this is report number GCS 2025-4, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Morrison and seconded by Councillor Armour. It is recommended that staff be authorized to enter into an agreement with Live Barn for the installation and operation of their video streaming service in both Canada Summit Centre arena, in both the Canada Summit Centre arenas, and further that commencing with the 2027 budget, an additional 154 hours costing approximately $4,400 to be included in the part-time customer service representative budget to be funded through the levy, and further that the agreement shall be to the satisfaction and signed by the Director of Community Services. Greg, take it away.
Thank you, Chair Schumacher, and through you, good morning, Council. This is a follow-up report from the deputation from the Huntsville Girls Hockey Association in September. I've covered off all the customers, user groups, other municipalities, and then the financial impacts, the marketing, and the exclusivity clause. So happy to answer any questions.
Short, sweet. Questions for Councillor Cloutier? I knew you'd be the first.
Through you. Good report, Greg. It was very thorough. I just have a couple little small questions. In the report, it said the most that was ever paid out was $2,000 to community for the services for the memberships. Do you know how big a community that was?
Through you, Chair Schumacher, and unfortunately, I didn't get the names of the community, so I don't know, but it's based off of the marketing efforts that the town does.
Yeah, okay. So, like as it stands now, the way the system works, our employee has to go turn on the service, shut it off. That's the 154 hours we're starting with, because if it gets busier, it's fine. The only question I have about it is, why is the taxpayer paying for something that is a service that another company sits back in their office and gains revenue off of it, and we are providing the labor work to turn it on and off each time, and the more the service is used, we're not recouping our money, and the more hours are going to have to be spent turning the system on and off each time. The other system that's in there now that I'm familiar with, the company turns it on and off. The request gets put into the company, the system that's in there now. They're the ones that turn it on and off. None of our employees touch it or have anything to do with it. So I'm just wondering why Live Barn doesn't work that way, and why we have to pay an employee to monitor and look after their system.
Yeah, through you, Chair Schumacher. I don't know if I can answer all of those aspects of that question. It's the platform Live Barn has set up. They give the ownership to the arenas to manage it just based on the rentals, because it's not every rental that would be in there. So it'd be a lot of communication from the town, I think, one way or the other to get that information to Live Barn, whereas opposed to with the Sports Engine one, it's, you know, a set schedule for the year. There's a lot of changes with minor sports, minor hockey, whether it's weather, whether it's a coach unable to attend, they switch off ice. That's why we're daily into checking for our dressing rooms and assignments. So it's a constant monitoring the town does already just to ensure we know who's coming to the rink at what time, even though the schedule's set in advance. It's a good platform for Live Barn. I know when the incident that I think you all heard about with the Waterloo incident is the municipality gave the ability to turn the cameras on and off to the minor sports organization run by volunteers. Innocent mistake at the end. It just forgot to get turned off. And I think in the protection of our privacy for our customers and our town and residents, we wanted to have control of that. So there was other avenues we could have looked at to not bring that cost to the town. But in the security of the system and privacy and because it's video streaming, we wanted to make sure that there'd be no errors in that and we wouldn't be in that situation where the cameras were filming a day camp or something. So we wanted to have that control.
Follow up. Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm for it, but I'm just not for taxpayers paying for a system that monitoring. The monitoring is one thing, but as you said, the increases, games change. So their employee turns it on and nobody shows up for the game. They got to shut it off. Then they got to find out. So that's more time that our staff is, I think it'll expand a lot more than the 154 hours, but I'm for it. But as long as somebody else is paying for that and in some way paying for the wages of our employees.
Councillor Armour? Your Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Chair Schumacher. Right along the same avenue that I noticed you list the groups down here, the associations who are interested or would like to sign up. Have they been approached that those associations would offset the cost for the camera for our staff to turn it on and turn it off again? Like it's $4,000, I think, a year. So I just wonder, have they been approached with offsetting that cost so it doesn't go in a levy?
Yeah, through you, Chair Schumacher, I did not ask that question on those groups if they were willing to pay. I just kind of identified how the platform works. And from the Huntsville Girls presentation, it was no cost to run it minus the management of it, the administration.
Oh, follow up and then.
Not so much a follow-up, but I think I'd like to put a motion on the floor that maybe we defer this and have, while Greg goes out and approaches these associations, see if they'll offset the cost of running the Live Barn situation.
Okay, I'll table that for now. I'm going to let Councillor Morrison ask his question and then.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Schumacher, and through you. I'm kind of on the same page. I love this. I know as a hockey parent, the benefit to the community is huge. Ironically, the cameras here are going to benefit people even outside the community who are sending the kids up for tournaments and whatnot. But I commend you. You've done a lot of work in a couple of months on this. The consultations and everything else, we're way further ahead. We have way more information now. So I would also like to see, and I can second that motion with Deputy Mayor Armour. I had some notes on how we could offset that cost because it's not just the cost, it's the time of our staff. They're already overworked. So talking to Director Babineau, I mean, if we don't have more additional hours added, that just means the phones don't get answered as quick and things don't happen as efficiently as they should. So putting in there like tournaments, I mean, Councilor Cloutier runs tournaments here in the town. I mean, I think if you went to a tournament and said, hey, for $100, you can have Live Barn on so people can watch if their parents are somewhere else, they could watch it. The associations, I'm happy to hear that lacrosse is interested as well. If each of them paid a few $100s each per year, I'd love to get it to a cost neutral place, but I don't want that to hold it up. So I think I would love to explore that, and I would gladly second Deputy Mayor Armour's amendment.
Their discussion before we go to the amendment. Councillor Renwick?
Thank you, Chair Schumacher, and through you. And thank you, Greg, for the report. I guess my question is too, the 150 hours, that's kind of a ballpark, right? We don't know exactly how many hours it will take. but I guess we have to plan for, yeah, we have to plan for the extreme, because I agree. I think this has to be, it has to be cost neutral. It can't cost the town or the taxpayers any money to do this. I'm not sure if the, to your amendment, I don't think that, I don't know if the associations will want to pay for this either. I mean, it's an added fee that they'd have to do. So the way the presentation came to us is that it wasn't going to cost us anything. And now we're looking at the associations paying and us, you know, our taxpayers paying. So not that happy about it, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I think some of us were thinking the revenue would offset the cost to be able to do that. So I understand the revenue is about 2,000, so we're looking at a $2,400 cost, I guess, at that point. So yeah, it's not a lot, but it's like half an hour a week or whatever, I guess, is the thing. So Councillor Cloutier and Morrison, and then we'll maybe go to an amendment.
Well, true, back up for your comment, the $2,000 was the most they've ever paid out. So, and the reason why I asked Greg question earlier was that in like a city of Barrie or Windsor or somewhere like that, but a community our size, I can't see it being $2,000 of revenue for us because we're small. We're not a large community. I mean, we do have a lot more sports than any other community our size and very well run, but I don't think we'll hit that $2,000 mark. So the cost difference is a little bit too much of a separation to put onto the taxpayer.
Councillor Morrison and then Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up the same thing, Councillor Cloutier, that, I mean, I think in your report you mentioned budgeting closer to $100 or $200 of revenue, I believe. So we're very much on the low side from $2,000. And I wonder, Greg, if we pass this amendment, if it could also be possible to go back to Live Barn and say huge appetite. They appreciate what you're trying to do. Because of the added staff hours, there's no appetite to add cost to the taxpayer. What can you do as Live Barn to sweeten the pot? Can there be a guaranteed $500 a year revenue minimum so that we can offset our staff? So I think part of the negotiation with the associations plus Live Barn to try to find a way. And I think the associations, if I was looking at even the team that I coach, if I knew that each kid had to pay an extra $5 a year, but it allowed the grandparents and everybody else in town to watch their grandkids play hockey, I think nobody would have a problem with that. But it's a matter of quantifying how much that number is and if it's something that's feasible. But it's just a thought about Live Barn maybe helping us out.
Fitzgerald.
Thanks for the report, Greg. Don't want to shoot the messenger. It seems like a little thing has turned into a big thing and create a lot more work for you. So I feel for you and good luck.
Thank you for that, Councillor Fitzgerald. So I guess, Greg, to the revenue piece, if somebody signs up here, is it that the revenue? Or if somebody signs up down in like Waterloo and then they watch a thing here, does that mean our area gets the money? Or is it just whoever signs up in the area?
Through you, Chair Schumacher, you need to sign up with our special code. So they'll give us a unique code for Huntsville. So you could sign up anywhere in the world as long as you use our code. But if you're a Huntsville resident and you're at a tournament in another city and you use their code, then they get the revenue. Or if you use no code, Live Barn will take 100% of the revenue.
Are you, Deputy Mayor Armour, you have another question, or are you going to put the
That's
amendment?
just a comment. Thank you,
I was trying to
Chair.
follow up.
I support this 100% because I think anything we can do to support our community and get our community out there when people watching hockey or lacrosse or whatever it is perfect. But I just think we need that cost neutral, or at least ask the question of the association to see if they're willing to support it in some way, because they really are the benefiting one as well as us. So.
Councillor Fitzgerald, did you have? No. Well, he put up his hand. Okay.
I did have a follow-up. It's gone.
Oh, sorry, because I went to Deputy Mayor Armour first. Okay, he'll remember like 2 minutes. Okay, we have a motion prepared. The deputy clerk like to. Okay, so we have moved by Deputy Mayor Armour, seconded by Councillor Morrison. It is recommended that report CS 2025-4 Live Barn video streaming service be postponed for staff to investigate a cost recovery model, including implementing user fee charges for organizations utilizing the service. Any questions on the amendment? Then I will call the question on the amendment. All in favor? I guess I actually have to say that. Okay, so then now do I have to do the main motion as amended, or just leave it? Just leave it, just postpone it, okay.
No problem.
Okay, then. And I will move it on to Deputy Mayor Armour to assume the chair for divisional reports, developmental services. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks very much. This is 6.2.1. We have Corey Creason come down. It's report number DEV 2025-112, repeal and replace the discharge of firearms. And I have a motion that's moved by Councillor Fitzgerald. Fireworks. Is that what I said? Oh, firearms. Oh, sorry about that. Fireworks. I have a motion moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, second by Councillor Morrison. Whereas following receipt of a petition and deputation, staff were directed to review the fireworks bylaw and current municipal practices. Now, therefore, it is recommended that committee approve the following: a draft discharge of fireworks by bylaw attached to report DEV 2025-112. 2, staff be directed to amend the appeals committee bylaw Schedule A to include the discharge of fireworks bylaw. And further, that the relevant bylaw be provided to council for consideration. And further, that the discharge of fireworks bylaw 2020-34 be repealed, replaced upon final approval by council. It's all yours, Corey.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. So just to provide an overview of the report for the draft discharge of firearms bylaw, fireworks bylaw. Eventually I was trying to not do that, but so as a result of a deputation before General Committee on June 25th, 2025, staff were directed to review the current discharge of fireworks bylaw and current municipal practices. Staff conducted a public survey to gain public input on whether fireworks should be allowed within the municipality, and if so, when they should be permitted to be discharged. The results of the survey are attached as Schedule A to this report. The survey did break down into 2 different categories of the fireworks. Consumer fireworks which are typically the fireworks that someone can go to a store, such as Walmart or any of the convenience stores in town, to purchase. And then the other type is display fireworks, which are the more high hazard type fireworks, where someone or where the person discharging the fireworks has to have a valid permit through the Canadian Natural Resources Department. Staff also did consult with other town departments that deal with the Canada Day fireworks over Hunters Bay, as well as some special event type fireworks on town properties. Staff also did consult with Mr. Kanji from the Canadian National Fireworks Association, who just did a deputation previously. So with that, a draft bylaw was created and is presented today. One of the big changes was with consumer fireworks. They are no longer to be discharged on weekends, any weekend, which previously was Friday, Saturday, Sunday between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Now they, under the draft bylaw, are going to be restricted to Canada Day, Labor Day, Victoria Day, and Civic Long Holiday between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., as well as on New Year's Eve between 8 p.m. and 1 a.m. The following day. And then with display fireworks, they are previously they could be set off on any day throughout the week, weekends, stat days, as long as the person was licensed through the Natural Resources Canada, as well as held a valid permit through the Huntsville Fire Department. Under the draft bylaw, they are being restricted back to on weekends, which again is Friday, Saturday, Sunday between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., as well as the same stat days and New Year's Eve. And the individual still has to have that permit through Natural Resources Canada, as well as permit through the Huntsville Fire Department. So under section 5 of the draft bylaw, there is now a provision for if someone wishes to set off fireworks outside of the bylaw, they can make an application to the appeals committee. Through that process, there can be additional restrictions put as far as where the fireworks can be discharged, the time frame that they can be discharged, as well as we can ask for confirmation that that individual has notified the neighborhood where the fireworks will be set off. This would include also the events that Mr. Kanji indicated as far as Diwali and other celebrations within the community, as well as section 5.2 provides for an exemption for fireworks that are discharged as part of a special event, which is issued by our special events team. And those are limited to town properties. Perfect example is the Canada Day fireworks over Hunters Bay. And then finally, if there is a violation of the bylaw, we can use the administrative penalty system for that. The first offense is $500 and escalates up to $1,500 on the third offense. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks for that. Do we have any questions? Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Armour, and thanks, Corey, for your report. So I understand that the changes would allow for a process where a member of the public can use the fireworks outside of the permitted days on private property. So I know that a lot of people like to use fireworks for, say, celebrate a birthday or a wedding, for example, and those are typically consumer type fireworks. So can you walk me and counsel through the process of how that member of the public would apply for that to be able to do it? I'm a little bit concerned about how onerous it might be and how long that process would take.
Through you, Deputy Mayor Armour. So if a constituent or someone that's attending the area wishes to seek an appeal, or not an appeal, but an exemption to the fireworks bylaw for an event, there is the form on our town website that they can fill out with their name, what they're asking for as far as an exemption to the fireworks bylaw. With that, it is submitted to the town, and I believe it's within 30 days we have to set the meeting for, and then it goes through the process, and the councillors that are part of that appeals hear what the person's requiring, and then they can make a decision on that. So I want to say it's a fairly quick process.
Sure. I believe they'd come and do a deputation in front of the appeals committee, correct?
Yeah, sorry. It would be essentially a deputation.
Yeah. Councillor Clark, follow up?
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Mayor Armour. And just a comment, I just want to say I wouldn't be in support of an outright ban, and thankfully that's not what we're looking at here today. I guess my only concern with the proposed changes is that it may move us one step closer to an overall ban at some point. And that's a concern I have about what we're looking at today.
Mayor Alcock.
Thank you, Chair Armour, and thank you, Corey, for a great report. I think that a lot of work went into it, and it was great getting all of the feedback through the engagement policy. I have a couple of questions, but the first one is, as to the process for display fireworks, would it require, let's say if it's a Deerhurst and they need a permit, as you said, to carry out their fireworks on a weekend, would they be asking for a blanket permit that would cover every weekend, or would they have to come for a permit every weekend?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. From my understanding, it's they have to apply for each individual event to happen.
Okay.
So yeah, and they do have to provide that notification for the permit to the fire department before 45 days before the event,
Okay.
just to give ample time for inspections and make sure all the paperwork's in line.
Okay, that's great. I just also, as a comment, I really appreciate that this is more restrictive. It is something that I think does address the issues that were raised by the deputants when we heard from them. And I will say that in the report, there was reference to no Canadian studies. I did find that the Canadian Veterinarians Medical Association has a very strong position around this, and they ideally they would move towards an outright ban. This isn't doing that, but they do encourage more use of the alternative, technologies. So, but I, as I said, I really appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
Councillor Schumacher.
Sorry. To Councillor Clark's point, I do like that there's an ability for someone, I've had people reach out around a funeral, right? So I guess my concern is though that 30-day and that appeal period, when you are trying to create something for somebody to sort of put them to rest as a celebration, is that too long a period? Could that be shortened in those certain circumstances? I guess it's getting that appeals committee together to do that. Is that the option?
I'm going to refer that to Deputy Clerk.
Deputy Clerk was last.
So I can speak to getting the appeals committee together in less than 30 days is unfortunately virtually impossible with everyone's schedule around, these council meetings and general committee meetings that are already in place.
And then I had another question, but it's
Follow
not
up?
it's sort of not really, somewhat. So the fireworks that always happen in Port Sydney on Thanksgiving Day, I don't see Thanksgiving listed there, but again, it would be displaced. So it would fall totally in this, correct? They get a permit anyway and all of that, but.
Through you, Deputy Mayor.
Well,
it
it's
would-
actually the weekend before Thanksgiving, sorry, it's not even on Thanksgiving. It is
So-
the Saturday before.
Yeah, so that would fall under our special events permit. They do get a permit through our seat team to have both the dinner as well as the fireworks there.
Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. Through you, and thank you, Corey, for the report. I have a question and I have a comment, and I'll start with my comment. I was disappointed to see that there wasn't more exploration of sort of air pollution, like non-air pollution types of fireworks, or noise pollution, or less waste, or more eco-friendly. I think I'm leaning more towards not a full ban, but I think we are on the right path going there. But I would have liked to have seen something like, the drone light shows or laser shows or bubble, something quieter, less. That was not in the report, but I understand that. But I guess my question is, when somebody, a general public, someone from the general public wants to do a firework display, and they go to the AMPS process, is it not $250 in order to do that for every time that you come to?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. The AMPS process is after a administrative penalty notice has been issued. The appeals process is a whole different. So the appeals is if you want an exemption of the bylaw, and the AMPS is it's a ticket that we issue if there's a violation of the bylaw.
So there's no cost if you want to come and ask, if I may, sorry, if there's no cost to ask to do to get a special permit.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, there is a $300 fee to apply to that appeals committee.
It's $300.
Yeah.
So $300 every time you apply, if you're just a regular person that wants to have fireworks outside of those dates. Okay,
That's interesting. Councillor Cloutier.
Thank you, Chair. I just hoping that this appeases my residents from that in Deer across from Deerhurst. Just because of the topographical, when they let off fireworks, they're shot from the lake, and when they go off, they're basically right in their living rooms. So it's the impact on that area with the commercial fireworks is huge. It's a lot bigger than when we're setting them off downtown at our point over in the bay. But I just if just using Deerhurst as an example, if they apply for a special day, a special permit, is there a public notice that goes out that the people can have a rebuttal, or is it just they reply and it just goes to the thing? Like, I think the public should have some input and somehow in the way, because they're the ones that are being affected by this, right? So.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So the bylaw doesn't provide that you have to provide notice unless it's contained within the decision by the appeals committee. For Deerhurst, for example, from my understanding is they did let the Lake Association know, but yeah, there was reports from outside that area too. So yeah, I just don't know if there's maybe another avenue that they could use to reach out to the rest of the municipality.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And by the way, it was a very good report.
I think the CEO would like to chime in here.
Thanks very much, Chair Armour. So just with respect to the fee that's charged for the committee, we actually do pay, as per our bylaw, we do pay committee members to attend that meeting. And it's $50 a person, I believe. So it's a total of $150. And then we would factor in any administrative costs because as committee's aware, we are a cost recovery organization. So the $300 may seem hefty, but just to give you an example of what that costing relates to.
Thanks for that. Councillor Stone.
Thanks very much. I have a question about the survey. So could someone have done the survey several times if they have multiple devices? Could I do it on my phone and my laptop and my iPad in order to skew the survey?
I may redirect that question to
Director Frame.
Frame.
Director Frame, would you like to make a comment on that one?
So through you, I actually don't know the answer to that question, but I will figure it out. I will ask our staff. So if you had to register to do the survey, then you would have only been allowed to do it once. If there was no registration required and we left it open-ended, then you could potentially have done it more than once. So it depends on how it was set up in the back end, and I am not 100% aware of how it was yet, so I will find that answer.
Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Armour. I just want to make a comment about the fee, and I know that the CEO just mentioned a little bit about that, but I just want to say I absolutely don't agree with that fee at all. That is, in my mind, just doesn't seem right. I mean, we're asking someone who wants to apply for an exemption, if it's for a birthday party or a wedding, we're asking those people to jump through an extra hoop, and then, oh, by the way, we're going to charge you $300 to apply. To me, that's ridiculous. And I don't know if I can support this report on that basis alone.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Chair Armour. I know that user groups in my area that do present fireworks, they're astronomically expensive already. Drones are not a cheaper alternative. So an extra $300 for a community organization that raises funds to support the community, I think I can't support that either.
Just to comment on it, I believe that's probably part of our user fee bylaw that's already set in place. Is that not correct? Somebody want to answer that? So would that $300 not already be part of our whole user fee bylaw that's already been set in place for many years?
Yes, it is correct. Sorry about that, Chair Armour. So it is currently in the user fee bylaw. Mm-hmm.
So the effects of this bylaw really don't affect the user fee. That would be separate altogether by changing the user fee bylaw. Is that not correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. So yeah, so there would be a requirement to change user fee bylaw would have to come back to this group. I think, you know, just hearing the discussion going around the table, staff obviously were looking at a mechanism that kept these types of approvals away from the council table from making those decisions. But, and there is staff time and there's committee fees that are associated with that. So if council isn't interested in having that fee, the other option is each request come directly to this table for approval, which I'm not so sure that council is interested in, but that's definitely an option. So you could change the venue in which those requests were to flow, and I would request that our chief bylaw officer maybe chime into that to see if that is an option. But looking for a mechanism, if approval is required, where does committee want that to filter through to? So we're open to recommendations on that.
Councillor Morrison?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. Ironically, rare for me just to be quiet and listen, but a lot of good conversation here. I really, I hate when you see something like this that's very divisive in the community, and there's very valid points on both sides of this, so it's really tough. I think what you found, Corey, is a really good compromise, and I commend you for that, because there's no way to make everybody happy in this. As far as the appeals committee thing goes, CAO Corey is 1000% correct. There is cost, and it's not fair to the rest of the taxpayers to bear that cost if somebody wants to have fireworks for their birthday. However, $300 is a lot of money, and I'm on that appeals committee, and I don't know if I should even say it, but I would waive my $50 fee if that, like, I don't need to get paid $50 to come to that meeting. I kind of wonder, what I'm more worried about as the appeals committee, there's 3 of us on it, it really puts us in a really tough spot. So one person comes and they're having a funeral, and we determine as the 3 of us that this makes sense, this is good. The next person comes and it's a different situation and we say no. I almost think if it's allowed, it's allowed. If it's not, it's not. I'm having trouble with the appeals committee process in general, because if we have a system, this is a system, and for 3 members of council to then decide on a whim each day, not that we would, but on each presentation, which ones get it and which ones don't, I'm kind of struggling with that.
Thanks for that. Mayor Alcock.
Thank you, Chair Armour. Again, I agree with Councillor Morrison. I think the discussion around this has been great. I too have I sort of struggle with the additional fee. I understand it, but maybe there's another compromise, and I know it would require further work from our bylaw. If it's a case where we know where people would likely apply for the exemption, we talked about birthdays or whatever, and weddings, and so if we had a set of guidelines that there was a form that person could fill out that would go to our bylaw, and take it away. There's something happening here. I don't know what's going on. It would require further work to set out what the guidelines are. Back to Councillor Morrison's comment about the appeals committee, it does seem like an onerous process, and generally we'd have an idea when it would be an acceptable exemption and when it isn't. I don't know if there's another way of doing it so it doesn't cost the $300.
Madam CEO, you're going to be the last speaker on this one.
Thank you very much, Chair Armour. So I understand what the mayor has suggested, that to come up with criteria. I think anything that would put the decision in staff's hands to approve would be very difficult. And I think, out of all due respect, I think we have a process that's been identified by our bylaw officer. That is an option that allows an appeal process. I'm hearing from some that perhaps we just set the rules and those are the rules, and there's no exemptions. Staff would not be comfortable making those decisions, even with a set of criteria. So if I could leave it at that. And
Yep, you can leave it at that. I think we're off subject here right now. We're talking about 2 separate issues. We have a bylaw, a fireworks bylaw in front of us, and we're talking now about the appeals committee and the costs. So I think we really need to separate them 2. And I think maybe if someone wants to bring a motion that maybe they look at the fee bylaw again and for stuff like this. But I'm not sure, could the appeals committee actually waive the fee if they had to? So just curious.
So in response to that, the user fee bylaw has to be amended by council.
Yeah.
So committee doesn't have the authority to do that.
Perfect. So everybody's heard the motion, that motion is stated, so all those in favor? Those opposed? And that doesn't carry. Does everybody realize what they voted against was the fireworks bylaw, not the cost?
So if
Okay.
I may, Chair Armour, to clarify, so with that being defeated, the existing bylaw remains intact. So there's no limitations. It's every weekend you can have fireworks now.
Great.
So if
Everybody
there
realizes
needs to
that?
be a reconsideration, the clerk can direct us how to do that.
So I think everybody got a little confused, but I think we got off subject there, talking about the cost of the appeals part of it. So I'll read the motion again, what it actually talks about the new bylaw. So it's moved by Councillor Fitzgerald, seconded by Councillor Morrison. Oh. I think we'll take a 5-minute a break and rediscuss this a little bit. Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry it took so long, but we really had to figure this out with our clerks, which we did. I believe we have a new motion. I need a mover and a seconder to reconsider the original. Mayor Alcock and Councillor Schumacher. Excellent. So now we have a new motion. We have the original motion as amended? No? Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Mayor Alcock? Seconder for that one? Schumacher again. So we're going to put the new motion on the screen for everybody to read. So it's moved by Mayor Alcock, seconded by Councillor Schumacher. Whereas, following receipt of the petition and deputation, staff were directed to review the fireworks bylaw and the current municipal practices. Now, therefore, it is recommended that committee approve the following. The draft discharge of fireworks bylaw attached to report DEV 2025-112. Second, staff be directed to amend the appeals committee bylaw Schedule A to include the discharge of fireworks bylaw. And further, that the relevant bylaw be provided to council for consideration, and therefore that the discharge of fireworks bylaw 2020-34 be repealed and replaced upon the final approval by council. And further, that staff be directed to review the appeals committee's fee under the town's fee and charges bylaw regarding the elimination of fees related to exception requests.
Point of order. So we didn't have a vote to reconsider.
Can we have a vote on reconsideration? All those in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thanks. Now we have a vote on the amendment as read. All those in favor? Sure. Okay. Any questions on the amendment? Councillor Schumacher.
Okay, so the last paragraph, because I know I put this forward, can you show me that again? Fees and charges bylaw regarding to the elimination of fees related to exemption requests. This is just referring to fireworks, though, not all exemption requests under the appeals committee, correct?
Who'd like to answer that one?
So just to speak on that briefly, thank you, Chair Armour. So there are a few other requests that might come through the appeal committees that maybe we could look at not charging a fee as well. So we do have a number of applications that come through that would generate revenue. So things like taxi applications. I'm just sort of so.
Councillor Schumacher, your mic's not on, please.
So sorry. So organizations that would generate a revenue, it would make sense that there's a fee applied to it because they're generating a revenue coming for the exemption. But staff are suggesting that perhaps we go back and look to see if there are requests that come through the appeals committee that are not from a revenue generating organization or applicant that maybe we should be waiving the fee for as well. So it's a good time to pause, reflect, and look to see if there's other ones such as fireworks that we might want to eliminate the fee for.
Follow up, thank you.
Yes?
Yeah, so no, I appreciate that because yeah, something like a food truck, we might not waive the fee for. So correct. Okay. Yes, I put this on because I am in favor of this. I do feel like, to Councillor Fitzgerald's point before, committees that put fireworks on do pay extra insurance and stuff. So I like this. One thing I'd also like to recommend, and it's just a recommendation in the appeals committee, we had, I can't remember his name, Kunji from the Fireworks Association talking about a good neighbor bylaw or a good neighbor process. And I think that should be included when they come to the appeals process. To Councillor Cloutier's point about Deerhurst and the neighboring thing, I think that needs to be included in the appeals process when they come, is a discussion around a good neighbor policy.
Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm sorry to belabor this, but I think I'm having still difficulty with the appeals process in general. I feel what Corey has come up with is a very good compromise. We've now determined through a survey and through a bylaw that we determine fireworks to be appropriate on statutory holidays. And I don't think it's fair to allow exemptions and say, you know what, we meant that, but unless this is happening, and I can't think of any funeral and any birthday that actually has to have fireworks. I just don't see why, me on the appeals committee, I can't see why I would ever grant an exemption. So in the interest of staff time and everything else, I think if we're setting a bylaw and saying these are the dates we determine to be suitable, then those are the dates that are suitable. So I can't support it as it is.
Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So just to clarify process, Councillor Morrison, if you are interested in removing that last section that was just added, then you would request a motion to remove that and have someone second it. So right now we're dealing with the amended. So you can do an amendment to the amendment. It can only happen one more time. But if that's the direction you want to go, then that's the step you would have to take.
Mayor Alcock.
Thank you, Chair Armour. I guess if the amendment is actually, it's not just specifically asking staff to deal with the fireworks bylaw. It's looking at the others that are not revenue generating. I think that was the suggestion, if I'm correct, from our CBO, because there are other situations that might make a whole lot of sense to waive. So I'm not opposed to this amendment because it's not just specifically honing in on fireworks. And the report could come back would outline very clearly when it makes sense or not, I think, if I'm understanding it correctly. So I also personally think it's really important to support the original motion. So I would support this amendment.
Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Chair Armour. I support the amendment. I think the issue I'm having is if we stick to just those dates, in our community of Port Sydney, we have a 71-year-old tradition of fireworks the week before Thanksgiving. And whether that continues to happen, I don't think I want to be the one that voted to not make it happen ever again. So we have to work our way around something here.
Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Deputy Chair, or Deputy Mayor, sorry. To that point, Councillor Fitzgerald, is it not through a seat application? Would it not be approved through a seat application as opposed to an appeals? I'm assuming. Maybe Corey, you could answer.
Corey, can you answer that one for us, please?
Typically it is.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, it is through a seat application. So it would be outside of the appeals committee. It's a whole separate process, but it would be included in this.
Follow up, absolutely.
So if that's the case, then any group or organization or person that wants to apply for a seat application could apply for to use fireworks in their special event. If that's the case, and they don't have to come to the appeals committee, then I would second the amendment that Councillor Morrison put forward to take out that last little bit. Because I think the bylaw, the way it's written, that we have specific dates when you can shoot off fireworks, I think I'm okay with that. And if you have a special event that you have to apply for a special permit, then through the seat application, that takes care of it.
Corey, please.
Help. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So just to clarify, the seat application or special event permit is on town property or town where discharge of fireworks is going to happen on town property. The appeals process is if someone having their backyard or if wants to have it in private property. So there's two different processes there as well. So just to clarify that. Yeah.
Councillor Morrison.
And sorry, I know this is taking a while, but this is really important. And it's something that's going to affect a lot of people. So I would never want something like that to stop. I love those fireworks. I would never want stuff that's been happening for 70 years to stop. But consider this. We've told the public now that we think fireworks are good on statutory holidays. And somebody in a neighborhood who has an issue with their dogs being affected by things or all these other reasons they don't want them have been told, okay, these are the days that you can expect to hear them, and these are the days you may want to go for a drive, and these are this. And then somebody comes to an appeals committee and 3 members of council, not 9, decide, yeah, sure, it's a 50th, do it. And then this person all of a sudden at 10 o'clock at night wakes up to fireworks and their dog is freaking out. So I think I know I don't want to go back to the old bylaw, but I'm not comfortable passing this current bylaw with the appeals process in it. So even if the last sentence is modified to say, looking into not allowing appeals at all, then that's something. So I don't know what the wording of the amendment would have to be, and I apologize that I'm belaboring it, but I want to get this right.
No, we appreciate all the comments and discussion around the table. Madam CEO, did you have a comment on that?
Thank you, Chair Armour. So I do hear two things around the table. I heard a concern about it going to the appeals committee for a decision, and then I heard the fee that would be charged if it goes to the appeals committee. So there's two issues at hand. So I think we break it out because the fee is irrelevant if it's not going to the appeals committee. So if I could suggest that committee focus on, is this something that you want to grant permission to have the ability to have fireworks outside of the bylaw through an application process? So your answer is yes, or your answer is no. And then either way, we can then deal with the fee or the fee's not relevant. So if I may suggest, Chair Armour, that that's what committee should be focusing on is, do they want appeals permitted? Because currently the proposed bylaw is saying only at certain times. And if committee wants that appeal process to be provided, then that's the discussion we should be having. So hopefully that clarifies it a bit.
No, thanks very much. So I guess, as she stated, do we want the ability for someone to appeal and have fireworks on special occasions, a wedding, etc.? So outside the bylaw. That's the question. Councillor Stone.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. Wedding celebration or 50th anniversary or whatever it might be, there are occasions outside of what is prescribed here that we do want. I want to see. I want people to be able to see. And I don't think them having to pay $300 and fill out a form to do that because my son's getting married is appropriate.
Thanks for that. Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. But just for clarification, who's going to make that decision?
3 people.
3 people will make that decision. I'm not comfortable with that.
Well, I think the appeals committee's been in place for quite a while, making decisions on a lot of things like short-term rentals, dog barking, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not, you got to have some type of committee, or each time one of these things happen, they have to come to council for a council to make the decision. And I think the way we're trying to do is streamline it and make it easier for the constituents to come meet with the appeals committee and move forward or not be approved. So I guess it all depends whether you want to muddy the waters or not, or keep things as they are. So, but I think the appeals committee would probably be something different, have to be a committee that's no longer, maybe Jessica to speak to that. You just have to say, okay, we no longer have an appeals committee. So. Corey, you'd like to speak to that? Because I think currently the appeals committee, the chief building official, Mr. Nagy, but I think the appeals committee is a good thing actually, right now, and it really makes it streamlines the whole situation for the constituent and for the town and for council itself. So and staff. It's all yours, Chris.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor. Thank you very much for letting me come down. So I concur with what you've just said. You know, the appeals committee does speed up things. In essence, if they were to come back, more than likely you would want the deputation at general committee, right? So what you got to realize is a month or, you know, a couple of weeks to actually get to this table, it being a locked in day per month. And then to actually, for it to be ratified through council is a whole month later on, right? So the thoughts and the reasoning behind the appeals committee, yes, it does back a lot of our other bylaws within it. It gives the ability to the person to come in, speak to the 3 individuals. You know, if there is a deputation that someone does want to speak to that matter or submit a letter of opposal, that can also be brought forward to that committee as well, right? So in my opinion, it does speed up the process. The other aspect is that committee, their decision is final, right? So they're coming on that day. If they do need to deliberate a little bit and respond afterwards, then that can occur. However, it is final, yay or nay, and people do appreciate that, especially when it's an ask of a variance with respect to like what was already noted, noise, the fireworks, firearms bylaw, things like that. And that's kind of where the motion of let's look at those aspects that aren't revenue generating could potentially come to that committee as, you know, no cost to it, right? So do appreciate the aspect of, yes, it is only 3 members of council. However, the process does make sense. There is an ability also, if council wants to increase that number, right? The nice thing with an odd number is that it obviously provides a conclusive voting on that, right? So yeah.
That's perfect. And just to give you a little bit of how the process works, the person who's appealing something actually comes and does a deputation to the 3 members of the committee, and then we go into close or in camera and we discuss it in that process. And actually, lately, the last few appeals that have come to us, we've been very educational to us, and we've changed our thoughts on things because of the. But that's how it actually works. Councillor Clark.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Armour. A quick comment. I would agree with Councillor Stone's comments. I would support appeals and the public's ability to apply for exemption for whatever it might be, a wedding or a birthday. I think that's appropriate. I would support that.
Thank you for that. Mayor Elcock, final words?
Yes, it is final
Okay.
words for sure. I just appreciate the comments that our CBO made about the appeals committee. It's an existing process that works, as you mentioned, and I think it is important to have a process in place in order to enforce this bylaw, actually, or this proposed bylaw. And I think that, you know, I don't think actually we'll be inundated with all kinds of applications about birthdays or weddings or things like that. But I do think it's important, going back to, I know there's a separate process for the turkey dinner in Port Sydney because it's on public land, but there might be another on private, on one of our community halls. It's no longer one of, who knows, that has a tradition. And I do think we need an avenue, a vehicle to be able for that organization or whoever it is to apply. So I quite like the amendment, and I'm voting for it.
Any more comments around the table? Does everybody remember the amendment? Can we put it up on the screen, please? Thank you. So is the bottom in red? So I'm going to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Opposed? All those in favor of the original motion as amended? Opposed? And that carries. Thanks very much, everyone. Great discussion. Well, Mr. Nagy's staying with us. This is 6.2.2. It's report number DEV 2025-113. Staff update on the Trillium Lake District School Board, the TLDSB Tiny House Project. So whereas through Council Resolution 36-25, staff were directed to consult with Huntsville High School and report back on options to fund materials for construction for a tiny home as a special project. And whereas the Trillium Lakeland District School Board and staff have found it necessary to engage legal counsel to review the liability measures with the project. And whereas the town involvement is intended to be limited to funding source for the project and in a statutory role of building permits and inspections. Now, therefore, it's recommended that staff be directed to engage legal counsel to move this initiative forward, with any costs incurred by the municipality be funded through the building department's legal budget for 2025 and 2026. Chris, all yours.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. So, yeah, I apologize that it's taken some time to actually get this report back to council. However, there has been some thorough discussion with Trillium District School Board, and I do appreciate Councillor Morrison being part of those kind of discussions and everything like that. So the background to this is obviously we were looking to help get the high school's tiny house project back up to a running stance. Through the review, the school board has engaged legal counsel to get a letter of opinion. There are aspects such as the new home warranty program, WMIS, general what makes up a contractor site and things like that. That they wanted to engage that solicitor to get an idea of what the exposure is. That solicitor actually reached out to us to go, hey, you may want to be part of these discussions. So obviously we definitely do, and our department has a working relationship with the HCRA and Tarion and things like that, so we can aid those discussions, which is great. The cost aspect that's being spoken to is really if through this process it's noted that the town needs to investigate some additional liability, not necessarily directly related to this letter, because it was requested by the Trillium District School Board. That's where those costs would come into effect. But we can definitely fund it through the building legal fees at this stage. So we're bringing this forward. So happy to answer any questions on that. So
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions? So I've read the motion. All those in favor of the motion? And that carries. Thanks very much. And you're staying with us. So we're moving on to 6.2.3, report number DEV 2025-114, Building Department Inspector's Appointment Bylaw. It is recommended that committee approve the bylaw to appoint building inspectors attached to Schedule A to report DEV 2025-114, and further that the final bylaw be provided to the council for consideration. All previous appointments bylaws outside the bylaw to appointed statutory officials shall be repealed. Mr. Nagy.
So thank you, Deputy Mayor, again. So this is more of a bylaw to create a little bit more transparency, efficiency within the corporation, and bettering our records management. Our current process is each individual inspector actually gets appointed under their own bylaw, which at times, could be hard to track down. The idea in this is we now relate to a list of inspectors that are actually listed under the bylaw, and then if inspectors move on or more are appointed, then that list would be changed out. So everybody's gonna be appointed under one bylaw notion. The background to this and why it was brought to our to light was for an inspector, they actually need to carry ID that has their appointment on there. We have issued those with everybody individual bylaw numbers. However, it's just let's just clean it up. The statutory aspect, because myself in the CBO level position, as well as my deputy, are listed under the Act. They are under a separate bylaw already, and those two positions are currently listed under one individual bylaw, right? So it just kind of cleans up that process. So that's why it's before you today.
Questions? Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, so that you're just saying that there's two bylaws then. One has the inspectors, and then yourself, and the other, the deputy inspector, is under another bylaw. So we have two.
Yes, so through you, Deputy Mayor, you are correct, Councillor Renwick, in that there will be two bylaws for the building department. My next report speaks to the bylaw department directly, but yes.
Thanks for that. And I did not mention the mover and seconders on that. That was moved by Corey Clark and seconded by Councillor Renwick. So all those in favor of the motion? And that carries. And the next motion we have, it's moved by Councillor Stone, seconded by Councillor Schumacher. It's recommended that committee approve the bylaw to appoint property standards municipal enforcement officers attached to Schedule A to report DEV 2025-115, and further that the final bylaw be provided to council for consideration, and further that all previous appointments bylaws shall be repealed. Mr. Nagy.
So thank you, Deputy Mayor. As I alluded to previously, this is similar to the building official bylaw. There is no statutory position under bylaw, so all of the members of bylaw are actually listed. Because they do act as property standards officers, they are required to carry the same ID. So again, this just helps out with creating those IDs as well as puts it into one record. So.
Any questions? Then I'll call the questions. All those in favor? And that carries. Thanks very much, everyone. Great discussion, great debate. I'm going to pass this on to Divisional Report Corporate Services, and Councillor Morrison's going to assume the chair.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. Moving on, our first report is from Tracy Miller, 6.3.1, regarding report number Corp 2025-73, amendment to the flag protocol and clock tower lighting policy, Appendix 2, community clock tower lighting request, Kawasaki disease awareness. And I do have a motion moved by Councillor Renwick, seconded by Councillor Cloutier. It is recommended that committee approve the request to amend Appendix 2 of the Town of Huntsville flag protocol and clock tower lighting policy to include the addition of Kawasaki Disease Canada to the list of pre-approved organizations. Thank you, Tracy.
Good morning. Okay, so staff have reviewed the applications submitted by regarding the Kawasaki disease and have found it to fall within the criteria set out in the current policy. It falls within the two, especially these ones, in support of public awareness campaigns and in support of health organizations. Staff feel that this application definitely aligns with our policy, and we have confirmed that there are no conflicts with any other organizations doing clock tower lightings on February 26th as requested. Any questions?
Councillor Renwick, through you.
Thank you, Chair Morrison, and thank you, Tracy, for the report. Just briefly, when we have a changing of the clock, the colors, is there somewhere on a website that people can go and find out what the color means for that day, or if they notice it's changed, where can they go and find information?
There isn't anything on our website that I'm aware of to that at this point. Sorry, through you, Chair. My apologies. So he doesn't mind, right? Yeah, no, there isn't anything. However, I can definitely work with marketing and staff on that if that is something that council does feel is a great idea.
Yeah, I think just as a because it is a follow-up, but just because people question why is the light changed? But if it's part of our mandate to educate people about this disease, then I think if there's an opportunity to share why the cause, I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Great idea. I know for some in the past, I've seen some social media go out, but I don't know if that was town initiated or if it was from the public. Yeah. But I think it's a great idea. And I think Tanya's going to speak to that.
Thank you, Chair Morrison. Our flag policy does state, this policy that Tracy's talking about, it does state that it goes on the website, and it does state that it goes on our council agenda, so you see it on the bottom of our agenda when something's coming up.
Sounds good. Councillor Schumacher.
Just a clarification, I think you said February 26th, but the report says January 26th, so just wanted to, you did say February. And the report says January, but I wasn't sure which
Sorry,
date.
through you, Chair. That is my typo on my sheet of paper in front of me. It is January. My apologies.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, any other questions? I will call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. Okay, moving along to 6.3.2, return will present on report number Corp 2025-74, RC01 2024 Northern Shores Association ORA closure, 897 Etwell Road. Would you like me to read this entire motion? Yeah, apparently I have to, so I will. I'll talk fast. Oh, she's going to bring it up? Oh, even better. I thought she said, yep, you have to read this. Okay, good. So it is in the package, and it is based on the deputation request earlier on, but I will let people digest that. That is the motion we're considering, and I'll pass it over to Marie to discuss.
Thank you, and through you, Chair.
As you heard earlier in the deputation, we received a request concerning the closure of a road allowance within the Northern Shores community, which is a private cottagers association where sites are leased to occupants. The occupant of Site 38, known as 3 Sunset Ridge within the association, discovered that his cottage and septic system encroach onto the unopened road allowance. The applicant initially proposed a land exchange. However, staff raised concerns because the lands offered are on a private road, which the town does not typically assume due to access, maintenance, and liability issues. So the applicant has since amended the application to proceed with a purchase only. Because the application involves a potential sale of a road allowance leading to water, it falls outside staff's delegated authority and is being presented to committee for consideration. It should also be noted that the abutting property owner to the northwest has not been circulated since the approval link has not been determined. So if staff are unable to obtain approval from the abutting owner, we will bring a report back to committee.
Okay, great. Any questions on this? I'll go to Councillor Stone.
So are they purchasing the road allowance just on that particular property, not the entire road allowance of Northern Shores? No.
Sorry, let me start over.
Yeah.
So, sorry, the road allowance that we're proposing to close is the subject, which, where the cottage encroaches on, so, which is the whole area that leads to water, as well as the road allowance from Atwell Road, which is green on the corresponding map in the report. Which,
And just to follow up, they're purchasing it at the regular fee?
original road allowances are based on the appraised value or the cost per square meter, whichever is less. We have an appraisal for the property, so that we basing the purchase on the appraised cost.
Thank you.
And just quickly to follow up on that, in the report, it said that we would want an updated appraisal. I think you mentioned that.
We would only need an updated appraisal if the area of the proposed road allowance changes. So for example, if you're only proposing to sell the portion that's encroaching, then we would need an updated appraisal.
Okay. And that number we're looking at is the 20,000 and some odd as opposed to the 33?
Yeah.
Okay, so the fee would be in the 20, I forget the number, 21,000 or 20 something thousand. Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, and just as a point, the property owner, the person that owns that cottage is not the one getting the land, right? It's the association, and you don't actually own the land that your cottage is on. So it's going to be part of the 450 acres. Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. Let's see. 2-pager. Okay, and we're going to go into 6.3.3, which is Report Corp 2025-75, a capital project update 2025-8. And Suzanne is going to come down. This is for information only.
Sorry, just 1 second here.
That's good. You just questioned yourself. Now, one motion is appendix I, that's appendix 2. What's the actually, any idea what it is? Okay, I just want to make sure it's there. It could be LL, I, 11. Okay, you ready?
Okay, yes, thank you. Sorry about that. Good morning, and here to present the November capital update for the town of Huntsville. The report was for information only. I don't have anything really to add to it, unless we can get started on the photo presentation. So this will be our last photo update for the year, because we're near the end of November. So I just wanted to start by saying that. The first photo we have here is the plotter that was recently put into service. So this plotter is used for printing of large-scale items such as maps and posters for the town. The theater also uses it for their posters. In the decision to replace the plotter, we did review options not to replace it, and based on the annual usage and having the work done privately would have been greater than the cost of actually replacing it and doing it in-house. So there's the lovely plotter.
Thank you, Chair Morrison. What happens to the old one? The old plotter?
It's a very good question. I believe probably just
Through you, Chair Morrison. I do know, but I've just forgotten. So I will follow up with you if I may.
If I may just follow up, just if we sell it, I mean, that would be great if we knew, but okay, if you could find out quickly, yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
I feel like I knew the answer to, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to say anything. Okay, so moving on, while we try and get that information. So the next photo here, the photo on the left is the display unit above the circulation desk at the library. So this screen offers showcases upcoming programming or information to the public on that screen. It's another place we could the library can advertise their services or programs to people who come in and visit the library. The next photo on the right is the display unit that's in the small meeting room at the library. So the TV in the library in the meeting room is available for patrons, staff, or anybody from the public to use as a way of casting to it. So you can put like a presentation on it or something like that. And it can also be used for programming. So this is some images of the security cameras that were completed recently at the library. So it just shows that they're in various locations and will help hopefully reduce any incidents or document them if they happen, I guess. So this is a projector that was recently purchased for the theater as a replacement. It's a rear-facing projector, and it's replacing an outdated unit that has served the theater very well for many years. It could also be used for council meetings or speaker series events at the theater, including intimate and interactive series where performance and audience members share the stage together. So the new projector will provide a brighter, cleaner, and more reliable display, enhancing visibility and creating a more engaging experience for everyone. These images are some ditching projects that have been completed on East Brown Road. So municipalities perform ditching along roads primarily for road longevity, safety, and effective water management. Ditches are a vital part of the road's infrastructure designed to prevent water-related damage to the surface and surrounding areas. These are some more images of some ditching and rock work done on Rockhaven Road. And then this is Madeline Street on the left and Ontario Street on the right. So some more ditching work that's been done. So these photos here are culvert replacements on East Brown Drive on the left and brushing on Clearwater Lake Road on the right. So the reasons municipalities complete brushing activities, it's to preserve the road base. So clearing brush allows for sunlight and air movement to reach the road surface, which helps the road dry out faster and after rain and prevents ice buildup in the winter. A dry road is less prone to damage like potholes and cracking, thereby extending its life cycle and reducing costly repairs. It's also done for drainage maintenance. So vegetation management helps keep ditches and culverts and other drainage systems clear of debris, ensuring proper water flow and preventing erosion or flooding that can cause damage to the road base. It's also for snow management. So cleared roadside areas provide essential space for storing plowed snow and ensuring roads remain wide enough for safe passage throughout the winter and minimizing the risk of flooding during the spring thaw. Brushing also improves sightlines for improved safety. And then culvert replacement, there's structural failure that can happen. So culverts can suffer physical damage such as cracks, corrosions, or total collapse caused just by age or heavy traffic loads, soil movement. Once the structure integrity is compromised, they can no longer safely support the road above. That's some information on those two. So here we have some gravel resurfacing projects. So it's Domain Road on the left, Proudfoot Road in the center, and Rowan Drive on the right. Municipalities complete gravel resurfacing primarily for cost-effective maintenance, safety improvements, and effective water management for on unpaved roads. This process is a key part of preventative maintenance programs that help prolong the lifespan of the road network. Some more gravel resurfacing images from Tower Road on the left and Williamsport Road on the right. I like the contrast between the green and the fresh gravel. So here's an image of some high float on South Wasiosa Lake Road. This next photo is a micro resurfacing. So it's a pavement preservation technique that applies the thin protective layer of a unique asphalt mixture to existing roads to extend their life. This process involves mixing polymer modified asphalt emulsion, aggregates, and other additives. And applying it to the road surface in 1 or 2 passes. It improves safety by increasing skid resistance, fills minor surface defects like ruts and cracks, and protects the pavement from water damage and oxidization. So again, that's mixing a polymer modified asphalt emulsion. And so here's another photo of micro resurfacing on Southdale Drive. Nice sunny day. There's another image on Southdale Drive for the micro resurfacing project. The next one is slurry seal that was completed on Gun Club Road. The slurry seal is the final coat, is done a year after high float resurfacing and the final sealant, and it's to extend the life of the road. And this one here is the slurry seal on Ripple and Pallet Lake Road. And then this is the paving of the parking lot. So this was a replacement and there was some water management and safety sidewalks concerned at the same time at Port Sydney Community Hall. I think we have another photo there. And then these are some photos of some sidewalk replacements done throughout town. And these were done to address any cracked sidewalks, reducing trip hazards, and to extend the life of the sidewalk and improve pedestrian safety. There. So that's the end of the photo update we had for you guys.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Sad that it's the last one. I know Councillor Renwick loves her photo shows, so that's the end of it for the year. You're done now. Any questions on all of these amazing projects? Okay, Tanya's going to speak.
Thank you, Chair Morrison. I do have an answer to Councillor Renwick's question. So the cartridges and the tubing were all leaking in the old plotter. So it would have been 50% of the cost to fix it. So the company has come and just scrapped it. Yeah.
I knew that wouldn't take you long. Any other questions on Suzanne's report? Deputy Mayor Armour.
Not a question, just a comment. I just love looking at the engineer capital report in here and looking at all the roads we did this year. And the nice part about it, if you look at the far column, it says complete, 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 complete. So well done to the roads department for sure. Great job.
Absolutely. Amazing. I think we could all commend that. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Armour. I have one quick question to Director Bissonnette. The process of, I've had to explain to a few people the process of doing the high float, then waiting a bit for the slurry seal. And that's obviously so everything can settle and the road gets stable. But if before the slurry seal goes on, if there are deficiencies, do they then get repaired? And is there a time period after that before the slurry seal then gets finalized?
Yeah. The slurry seal goes on, you're right, and it does get repaired before. Like if there is potholes or whatever, they will get patched up before the slurry seal goes on.
Yeah, the process is remarkable. It's good. And you guys are doing a lot of great work. If there's no other questions, I'll move on to the next one. Thank you, Suzanne. We have another one for information only. Manager Duncan will come up and speak about Report HR 2025-4, the 2025 Employee Engagement Survey results. And take it away.
Thank you, Chair Morrison, and through you. As you see in front of you today, I have an information report only on the 2025 Employee Engagement Survey that we conducted earlier this calendar year. So this is a follow-up biannual engagement survey that we do through our employee population. Just a few kind of key quick highlights from the survey that was conducted this year. So the response rate has been our highest ever response rate for the survey at 48%. And again, this is a non-mandatory employment related survey that is conducted. And again, another highlight from this report would be the grand driver average. So in the town of Huntsville, we evaluate, for lack of better words, 35 drivers of engagement. And the grand driver average is averaging together the 35 drivers of engagement to get the overall percentage. And this survey year came back at 70.8%, which again is an all-time high for us. So again, this survey, in my professional opinion, was very positive and a good indication of the overall health of the organization. I'm happy to answer any questions should there be any.
Thank you, Manager Duncan. Over to Mayor Alcock to start.
Thank you, Chair Morrison, and thank you, Keith, for the report. It's not a question, it's a comment, and it's a nice comment in the sense, if you look at 23 versus 25, some of the ones that didn't do very well in 23, there has been, I don't know if it's significant, but there's definitely improvement in areas that scored, had very low scores in 23. And I'm looking at specifically benefit satisfaction. That was a big jump, and it's really nice to see. Clearly, whatever was done post 23 is paying off. So appreciate the summary of the engagement report. It's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Cloutier.
To you, Chair. Just looking at some of the numbers here, up pretty high, 84, 80 for the working with our the supervisors, the management team, everything like that. And I think that goes out, and you're doing an excellent job. I think it goes out to our staff and our leadership, how I felt in the 4 year, well, this going into the 4th year, how much things have changed and gotten better in the environment as far as I'm concerned with the town. Thank you very much for that job, Keith.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very good observation. That's very true. Any other questions around the table? Councilor Renwick.
Thank you, Chair Morrison. I think just a comment as well, the fact that we have 48% survey result as feedback, that's enormous. It's huge. So kudos to whatever. Sorry, the one question, maybe I do have a question, if I may. And I think I asked this at the agenda review, and we talked about the percentage of full-time versus part-time, and whether or not we captured some of the seasonal. Did we capture some of the seasonal workers as well? We did we not? Okay, as well as full-time, all the full-time.
Through you, Chair Morrison, yes, we did send this survey to any employee that was indicated as active at the start of this survey period. So that would include a full-time employee, a part-time employee, and also a seasonal employee. So the fact that we had a 48% response rate, which you referenced as being abnormally high, I think is very indicative of how engaged our employee population is, regardless of their employment status. So again, I was very enthused when I saw the response rate.
And I echo that. The fact that many people on our staff cared enough to give us their feedback is huge, but the fact that Keith has initiated a process where now we have 2 separate sets of data, same data, different results. We now have a really good baseline to go off. But a lot of times when you see high numbers of respondents, it's usually negative because people want to voice their concerns, but we're getting a lot of positive too. So that speaks to you and how you're dealing with it. If there are no other questions, I will let Keith leave the, CEO Corey would like to speak.
Really quickly, Chair Morrison, thank you. I just wanted to sort of tag on to the mayor's comments regarding the key drivers that we've seen at the bottom of the list and how they've improved since the last survey. And I think a lot of that really is attributed to council support in allowing Keith and I to manage and govern the HR policies of the organizations. It really gave us the tools to help identify those areas that staff felt that they weren't very happy in. So the result of those improvements on those last drivers are a lot contributing to council's decision to allow us to manage those policies. So we do appreciate that, and it had a huge positive impact on the organization.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that discussion. Keith, thank you for the report. And we're going on to our last report of this department, end of the day, actually. It's 6.3.5, information only. It's report CAO 2025-5. It's the Lakeland Holding Limited 2025 third quarter shareholder update, and CAO Corey will speak to that.
Thank you, Chair Morrison. So typically I bring these reports and they're fairly uneventful. This particular one, I do want to draw your attention to a comment in the note that speaks to the dividend. Although I had noted it in a previous report to committee that Lakeland, although they're still very successful and profitable in their organization, they were severely impacted by a number of events this year. The ice storm, they had a huge impact on their generation plant in Bracebridge. And their team, their board has gone back and looked at their current financial situation and has provided notice to us that we may not actually see the first quarter of our 2026 dividend. That amount is $106,100. We haven't received formal notice yet that we are not receiving it, but I believe that it's most likely going to happen, that we won't see that first dividend. They will continue to evaluate other areas that they could potentially focus on to do some cost-saving measures, but at this point in time, we can anticipate, I say with pretty good confidence, that we won't see that first quarter dividend. So the mayor, deputy mayor, myself, we have met with the head of Lakeland to have a conversation about our concerns as a municipality, and they're very well aware of it and have committed to working with us on that. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you for the update, and I think Mayor Alcock does have.
Just quickly to add on to that is, as our CAO said, they're very well aware of the response from the primary shareholders, and they are still working on potential solutions. And if there is a change in the direction, there will be a special shareholders meeting early in the new year.
Great. Any questions at all on the CAO's report? Being none, I will pass the chair back to the Mayor Alcock.
Okay, thank you. And we only have one more motion. And before I read it, I just want to say thank you for a great meeting today with a lot of really good dialogue. And I think we did a lot of important things. And Councillor Schumacher.
I know we
before
don't have
we-
anything under general information or new business, but I just thought maybe we should announce that there is a public meeting for the Parks and Trails
Tonight,
tonight.
that's right.
That's what I thought we
That's
should-
absolutely on the, there is a public meeting at the ALC starting at 5 o'clock, I think, 5 to 8, and it is on the work around the updated Parks and Master Plan. So it's part of the ongoing engagement with regard. And the trails piece will be very important. I know I'm dropping in for sure. So thank you for reminding us. I forgot about that. Okay, with that, I will call, move the final motion has been moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Fitzgerald. It is recommended we do now adjourn at 11:24 a.m. And all those in favor? And that carries.